Hello, I'm Carl Tasker Jr. from Tasker Automotive Group. What we have here today is the 2021 Shelby GT500. Now, before we take it for a ride and go through all the interesting features it has, let's start with what everyone cares about anyway, what's under the hood. And in the proud tradition of the Shelby Mustang, it's a supercharged V8. 5.2 liters, not a flat plane crankshaft like its GT350 cousin, but a traditional cross-plane crankshaft, double overhead cam, and a 2.65 liter supercharger. Now, full disclosure, stock, they make 760 horsepower. This car has a cold air kit, because it's mine, and I don't like to keep them stock. Has a cold air kit, has a performance calibration, and this car makes another 180 horsepower to the tire. So let's call this like 940 horsepower. Enough to have fun. However, this is, in its stock form, the most powerful Mustang ever, the quickest Mustang ever at the drag strip, multiple 10.6s, 10.8s, over 130 miles an hour stock. This car also is equipped with the most impressive braking system ever on a stock Mustang. And this is not the track pack, so this does not have the carbon fiber wheels with some of the enhancements. I wanted to keep this car a little more real world. This car also has, in my opinion, the coolest hood and front end in the history of Mustangs. Now, I started the video with the hood open because for obvious reasons, but I mean, that's just cool. Hood pins from the factory. Because it's so fast, you want to make sure it stays closed. When the Shelby name came back in 2007, Ford came out with the GT500. It had 500 horsepower from a 5.4 liter supercharged V8. Nothing had 500 horsepower back then. The most powerful Mustang to date had been the 390 horsepower 2003-2004 Cobra, the Terminator. So when Ford came out with the 07, it was groundbreaking. And it's hard to believe that that was that wasn't too long ago. And now you have 760 horsepower, a car that's limited to 180 miles an hour. It can definitely go faster, but Ford limited it probably to save us. But you also have a car that's incredibly usable. And unlike some of its competitors, and the real question is, what is the competitor to this car? Because a 650 horsepower Camaro ZL1 is a lot slower. A 700 horsepower Hellcat, it's a different car. Because the one thing I haven't mentioned about this car is the single most incredible thing that Ford, I think, has ever done to a Mustang, and it's the transmission. This car has a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, first of its kind in a Mustang. That takes the car from really the traditional Mustang layout of big torquey V8 and manual, and kind of, in my opinion, takes it into the future. Because cars are getting more and more powerful, and it's no secret that unless you're Bob Tasker III, which I am not, an automatic transmission will be faster than a manual in most situations. But putting an automatic transmission on a car like this, or a manual, versus the DCT, completely different ballgame. The dual clutch transmission allows this car to make use of the power like no Mustang before it. Shifts faster, shifts harder, shifts more consistently, downshifts a lot faster. And between the dual clutch and the overall setup of the suspension, which has multiple settings, this car can do something that no Mustang before it has effectively done. And that is dominate on a track that has curves. It's no secret that you go to any drag strip over the last 40 years, and you're going to see Mustangs doing extremely well. Shelby's, Bosses, all the high horsepower cars. But when you take a car like this in the past and put it on a road course, the inherent flaws in the layout of the car would be exposed. Well, this car has taken a quantum leap forward, which is why I say, what is its competitor? Is it the new Corvette? Well, this car has 250 more horsepower. Is it the Hellcat? Well, this car is a dual clutch. Is it something from BMW or Mercedes or Porsche? Well, that costs $150,000 more. So this car really is in a class of its own for the amount of power you get, the amount of capability you get, And this particular car stickers for under $80,000. So wrap your head around that. You can pay $20,000 more to get less car from another manufacturer. And that's all well and good. But now let's talk about the interior of the car and the driving experience. And you can hear the exhaust. Because this car also has, in my opinion, the nicest stock exhaust I think I've ever heard on any car other than something from Europe with 12 cylinders. So let's hop in and go for a ride. That translated on the camera, but there was no interruption in power from 2500 to 8500 because this has a higher RPM tune in it. The car just pulled. So hard combination to beat in a street car. Okay, so here we are in the 2021 Shelby GT500, and you know, it's not a drastic departure from the standard Mustang interior. Everything is just, hold on. What's up? All set, Ray?
I would say off the grass about an hour. It's nice and safe.
All right, cool.
Today. Should drive pretty quick.
All right, my friend. Hey, take it easy. Thank you. That was Ray.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so here we are inside the 2021 Shelby GT500, and the interior is not a drastic departure from the standard Mustang interior. Everything's just a little nicer. Now the only thing different on this is I did opt for the carbon fiber package, which carbon fiber is one of those things you can't have too much of it. So let's look at the steering wheel. Wrapped in suede for extra grip. You have the paddles, which I've talked about the dual clutch, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. But from this steering wheel you can command pretty much the entire car. Voice activated everything, navigation, music. You also can adjust your steering wheel from comfort to sport to normal, and your suspension, sport, track. But beyond that, the real fun happens down here. You can shut off traction control, partially or totally, which that's up to you if you want to do that. You can adjust the exhaust, which we've done a couple shots of all the different options. I'm in track mode because that's the only mode that you should do. And then you have the overall driving modes where you can go from track, which I'm in now, to drag strip, which allows you to leave off of a two-step. It's really not launch control, it's more like a traditional two-step. You can go to slippery, which quiets the car down. Softens the suspension. Really, if you're gonna go on a long trip, this is how you wanna drive the car. And then you have normal, sport, and track, which honestly, if you're going to drive the car with any type of desire to enjoy it, put it in track mode. The sound alone is incredible. Other than that, the only thing different on this car versus any other Mustang ever is this little rotary dial here, which is weird at first. However, it keeps everything out of the way, and you put it in drive and you press that M to put it in manual mode so you can shift yourself. And you have the electric parking brake. Now, is this as much fun as the old-fashioned handbrake? No. I don't recommend you try to pull this electronically and drift it around a corner. It's not going to work out because maybe I've tried. But it is a lot easier than reaching down here and doing all that nonsense. So that's pretty much the ball game. You do have Apple CarPlay, the latest generation of Sync, all the different amenities that make this a very comfortable car to drive. And you have heated and cooled seats, which is almost 90 degrees today. The cool seats are nice. And you do have enough room in the back seat to put a booster seat for your 6-year-old son who wants to go to soccer. Just remember though, he will wipe his feet all over the back of your Shelby seats. Just that has happened recently to me. So I think that's enough said. Let's put it in drive and take it for a quick blast.